Allison Sargent joins me on the set for a look at what the papers have been saying today. Hi, Allison. We can't avoid it. Lots of focus today on that bombshell interview by Oprah Winfrey of Harry and Meghan.
That's right, Jeannie. Tabloid editors in the UK clearly stayed up late to watch this interview and update their front pages with their chosen bombshell to come out of it. A couple are headlining on those allegations of racism, as we read here on the front page of the UK's left-wing tabloid, the Daily Mirror. The royal family asked how dark Archie's skin would be. The couple wouldn't say who in the family made the comments, though. That question about the baby's skin color was also the headline on an earlier edition of the Daily Mail, that you see here, hopefully, but they've since updated this front page, actually, and their new headline now reads, "Meghan accuses palace of racism." The Daily Mail describes Markle in the interview as emotional and stunningly candid. Meanwhile, The Sun headlines on the revelation that Meghan felt suicidal before the couple left Britain. It's interesting to note that both The Sun and the Daily Mail are only picturing Meghan on their front pages, a sort of a reminder that she is really the one who's under scrutiny here.
And The Guardian now reports that leading royal commentators actually gave critiques of this interview before they even saw it.
That's right. This was revealed by two YouTube pranksters who contacted very well-known royal commentators pretending to be a news company, asking for comments that they said they wanted to be able to air quickly after the interview, which is why they needed the comments before the interview. Well, the commentators obliged. One of them said from start to finish, Meghan was acting. Another said it was not a balanced interview and accused Oprah of giving Meghan and Harry an easy ride. Again, comments made before they even saw the interview. Now, the commentators defended themselves, saying that they didn't speculate. They said this was just based on what they'd seen of the previews of the interview. Still, it's pretty revelatory of the bias that we see among royal commentators, and a glimpse into what French paper Le Monde calls the toxic communications war taking place within the British royal family. Le Monde writes that Britain is divided into two irreconcilable camps: those who support Harry and Meghan and tend to be younger and more left-leaning, and then those who support the rest of the royal family and, according to Le Monde, tend to be older conservatives.
Moving away from the royal family now, a big story in the United States is the media circus in Minneapolis, where the city's bracing for day one of the trial of the white police officer involved in the death of George Floyd.
That's right, Jeannie. Emotions are running really high in the U.S., especially in Minneapolis, where George Floyd was killed. This cartoon by Steve Sack for the Minneapolis Star-Tribune shows the scales of justice just barely visible there behind a heavy-duty barricade. Over the weekend, the Minneapolis sheriff actually published an op-ed in the paper affirming the right of people to protest, as they did on Sunday, but warning that anyone who harmed people or property would be arrested. Meanwhile, the Daily Beast reminds us that the implications of this trial really go beyond George Floyd. The website says that in the past few decades, there have been hundreds of deaths at the hands of police in the Twin Cities area alone. And the Daily Beast spoke to a law expert who said there's no precedent in this George Floyd case, since so few of these cases do ever make it to trial. The trial itself, in that sense, is a victory for victims, they say, but if the officer does get acquitted, well, they say that's going to make it that much harder to convict police officers in similar cases in the future.
All right, we're going to move now to Senegal for our next story. This is about the opposition figure Ousmane Sonko, who is set to appear in court today over a rape accusation he says is politically motivated.
That's right. He and his supporters say it's politically motivated, and his arrest last week set off some of the biggest protests that Senegal has seen in recent years. Regardless of whether or not Sonko is guilty, the Washington Post spoke to women in Senegal who are really worried about the impact this could have on silencing victims of sexual assault. Because, of course, he is accused of rape, and rights activists in Senegal say reporting sexual assault is already very difficult in the country. Senegal didn't even punish rape as a serious crime until last year. The Washington Post notes that the masseuse who accused Sonko has become a target for harassment. Her lawyer has been receiving death threats. Now, the women in this article, none of them express any opinion as to whether or not Sonko is guilty. That's really not the point of this article. As one shopkeeper said to the Washington Post, women are afraid to denounce powerful men because no one will believe them, yet they are the victims.
On that note, Allison, we're going to end now with some visual representations of International Women's Day.
That's right, and we could start with a cynical cartoon. This one is from the Jordanian paper Al Rai. It shows a woman marching around a figure 8 for the 8th of March. Of course, this 8th March ends up leading her just around in circles, which sort of gets at the idea that these symbolic days don't necessarily lead to any progress. For a more inspirational vision of the day, though, we can look at the front page of France's Communist communist paper, L'Humanité. This drawing is by illustrator Vanessa Verrion. It's sort of a Medusa-like wave with hair made up of a multitude of fists rising into the air. Their headline here is talking about an irresistible feminist wave. L'Humanité says that International Women's Day has so far avoided falling into a sort of commercial Valentine's Day trap. Little by little, L'Humanité says the day is actually really becoming a day for freedom, as important for them as Bastille Day.
Well, Allison, thanks so much for that. Allison Sargent with the press review.